The Chicago White Sox have their home opener today as Mother Nature so graciously afforded the squad the opportunity to take yesterday off to do some soul searching. Hopefully, offense and defense can figure out something as we discuss what we've learned about them so far this season. Plus, we're going to talk about today's home opener right after the intro.
Welcome to Chicago White Sox Central, your number one place for all Sox news and content.
Good morning, Chicago White Sox fans. Welcome to another episode of Chicago White Sox Central, your number one spot for all things Chicago White Sox related. It's your boy, Big Kev, holding it down for the South Side. Y'all already know what to do. Hit me up at Big Kev from the Shy, Big Kev from the CHIDACHI, Sox Central Pod, Shy White Sox Central at gmail.com. And of course, like, share, comment, hit that notification bell. Let's get into today's content. Listen, it is no secret the Chicago White Sox offensively came into this season as a work in progress. It's been discussed a lot about how well they played in the second half of last season. Well, after the All-Star break anyway, because it's not really the second half. But anyway, while that's all good and well, none of that occurred. None of what occurred, nothing that happened in August and September matters right now in April. None of it. It's a new day on the South Side. And if this team wants to prove to their opponents that they are no longer doormats in the AL Central or just in baseball period, they're going to have to start playing some consistent offense. Now, defensively, the Chicago White Sox are not good enough to overcome unforced miscues. They have to play mistake-free baseball due to the fact that they're a young team with a razor-thin, I guess that's razor-thin, margin for error. So let's break down what we've learned so far about the Chicago White Sox and defense and how I believe they can fix things. We'll start with the offense, right? In sports, the name of the game is outscoring your opponents. The Chicago White Sox have only accomplished that feat one time in 6 games. In fact, outside of a snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, I'm still salty about this my Milwaukee game and the 7-9 loss they had to Milwaukee. Their lone win, which was a 9-4 victory over Miami, the good guys have only managed to play 2 runs or fewer in their other 4 losses, punctuated by a 10-0 shutout loss to the Miami Marlins in their finale, right? So in their 5 losses, I've noticed a few reasons why they aren't producing numbers. And the main thing is, and this might sound strange, home runs are not everything. The Chicago White Sox have played terribly with runners in scoring position, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But let's discuss why the home run can be a misleading stat, especially for this team, right? Chicago White Sox have hit 8 dingers so far as a team, and that's tied for third most in all of the majors. And honestly, that's pretty good. But out of all the teams in front of them, the Pirates, the Braves, the Rangers, the Astros, they're all on the plus side of the plus minus. The Chicago White Sox they're tied for third with 8 home runs on the season, and they're minus 31 in run differential. The next closest team, who is also right in front of the White Sox in home runs, are minus 17 in run differential. That's the Arizona Cardinals, not Cardinals, the Arizona Diamondbacks, right? So the Chicago White Sox are third place with home runs, 8 home runs, but they're minus 31 in run differential. Now, obviously, pitching hasn't done them any favors with all the runs that they've given up, right? But when your own offense only scores once or twice a game for most of the games, the majority of the games, in 4 games out of the 6, they've only scored 2 runs or fewer. Listen, and even with those home runs, a lot of them are solo home runs, and we'll get to that in a second. Because I know Colson Montgomery and Miguel Vargas both hit uh, grand slams, and I know Austin Hayes hit a 3-run home run. But at the end of the day, a lot of these home runs are empty calories for the Chicago White Sox. It's terrible to see this happening, especially when there's like a trend of the other teams in the league are starting to kind of go away from the home run ball and start getting, playing old school baseball, get them on, get them over, and get them across home plate. Now the Chicago White Sox are a step behind and they're trying to rely on the long ball when teams are kind of gravitating away from that. Munetaka Murakami, for example, right? And I love this young kid. He has 3 home runs, but he only has 4 RBIs. Austin Hayes has 1 home run and he has 3 RBIs because it was a 3-run shot. Colson Montgomery has 1 home run and 5 RBIs, but one of his home runs was a grand slam. So you get the point, right? These guys are hitting home runs, but the majority of their RBIs are coming from the home run ball. They're not hitting base hits. If you take away all the home runs, the 21 RBIs the Chicago White Sox have falls all the way down into the low single digits. They're scoring in the high 80s, low 90% of their runs based on home runs. And you just can't sustain that. You cannot sustain that. We saw that in the playoffs last season with the Chicago Cubs, for example. They could not do anything offensively if they weren't hitting home runs. And that's how Milwaukee beat them in the playoffs last season. Now, the main reason this is happening because they suck at hitting with runners in scoring position. And they swing and miss a lot. In game 1 of the season, they swung and missed 25 times versus the starter and Jacob Mizorowski for Milwaukee. And then they struck out 20 times in that game. Listen, the Chicago White Sox were 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position in their first 2 games. And then they kind of shook it up a little bit. Will Venable changed the lineup. He put Munetaka batting second. He put Colson Montgomery out of that second spot and let him bat clean up. And frankly, they went 3 for 4 runner in scoring position in game 3 versus Milwaukee, and then 3 for 6 with runners in scoring position in game 4 of the season, game 1 versus Miami, in their lone win of the season. And then in game 2 versus Miami, they went 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. And then in the finale, these Mogs didn't even advance past first base. They didn't even have a runner in scoring position for the whole game in their 10-0 loss to Miami. So when you add all of that up, man, it's going to lead to a terrible start to the season. And look, when you strike out 73 times in 6 games, it makes matters even worse. Not to mention the paltry batting averages up and down the order. Like I could go through, I got to give Will Venable credit for shaking things up and moving hitters around to attempt to manufacture runs for the team. But besides games 3 and 4 of the season, it just hasn't really done much. Like hitters have been god awful, right? Montgomery, Hayes, Munetaka, they each have 9 strikeouts already on the season. Benintendi has 8 strikeouts. Miguel Vargas and Chase Mydroth have 7 strikeouts, and that's shocking for Chase Mydroth, in my opinion. I expect Chase Mydroth to work the count, get on base, walk. He's your leadoff hitter. Based on last season, he showed a lot of plate discipline. Right now, he's striking out way more than I expected him. And then on top of all of that, you look at some of these batting averages. Hill, Reese McGuire, Lenny Sosa, they all have 0 hits on the season through 6 games. And then Edgar Quiero is batting .077. Austin Hayes is .158. And then you got Colson Montgomery batting 182. Acuna and Benny, they're batting 200. It's rough. It is rough right now from a batting average perspective for the Chicago White Sox. Nobody's batting above 300 on the team. Nobody's even close to that. Not even Munetaka. I mean, Everson, who was it? Everson Pereira. He's actually gotten better, but he's still batting under 300. Nobody's close to sniffing 300 batting average on this team right now. And after playing 6 games on the road this season, maybe a little home cooking would help this offense hit some sort of stride. Like they got to figure something out, right? But if not, it might be time to call up one of the guys who's playing well down in Triple A Charlotte, and that is none other than Mr. Spring Training, Mr. World Baseball Classic for Italy himself, Sam Antonacci. Because look, so far in 6 games, this kid has 8 hits, 5 runs scored, 2 home runs, 6 walks, and 4 stolen bases with only 2 strikeouts. Sam Antonacci is lighting it up down in the minors the same way he was doing in spring training for the Chicago White Sox, the same way he was doing at the World Baseball Classic for Team Italy. And his average of 333 would lead the Chicago White Sox by a lot. And so would his on base percentages, so would his slugging percentage, and so would everything that he's doing, honestly, down there would lead the team. He even got 4 stolen bases. That would be, I think that would lead the team too. It's either with tie or lead the team because I'm not sure how many Acuna has. I think he got like 2 or 3, maybe 4. And then once Kyle Till returns, he's still about 2 weeks away. Perhaps the team will finally get some offensive production from his catcher spot because EQ, Egakero, and Reese McGuire, stanky. Stanky. So before we discuss the defense briefly, let me know what y'all think in the comments about offense right now. Can they get better? What can they do to get better? Should they bring up Sam Antonacci? Are they just a Kyle Till away from having better production from the catcher spot? What should the offense do to get better? Because just relying on home runs is not it. All right, so I'll be brief about defense. If this team expects to win ball games, they cannot afford to make boneheaded mistakes defensively. The Chicago White Sox have played 6 games and they have 6 errors. That's unacceptable. The 2 errors there that Luis Angel Acuna had at center field when Eric Fetty was pitching basically killed a game where Fetty was dealing. He was doing his thing, and the Chicago White Sox were up 2-0 against the Miami Marlins in that second game. And after they had that error at center field where the right fielder and the center fielder didn't communicate, Fetty gave up 4 runs, and that was pretty much the end of the game, right? The error Shane Smith had in his last start led to him getting knocked around in a game, even though he was surely about to get out of that inning with a double play, and he ended up giving up 4 runs. And now he's just looking. I'm praying for him because I know mentally he's going through it right now. I can't even tell you how many 2-out runs this team has already given up on the season. Frankly, the only fix I see is mental. Like, it's a mental fix defensively, right? The first Acuna error was based on a lack of communication. The second one was just him trying to do too much. The Shane Smith error was completely avoidable. You got a ball hit right back to you, you turn around and you throw it straight into center field. Can't have those things happen. You got to do better so we can see better results. All right, so before we get up out of here, the Chicago White Sox taking on the 4-2 Toronto Blue Jays. We know the Blue Jays went to the World Series last season it was centimeters away from beating the the Los Angeles Dodgers. And on the mound, we have a familiar face. Dylan Cease is facing the Chicago White Sox. Former Chicago White Sox pitcher Dylan Cease taking on Grant Taylor, who the Chicago White Sox have decided to move into the starting lineup to go against Dylan Cease. Now, Dylan Cease didn't pick up the win the other day in his first start, but he did go 5 1/3 with 3 hits and 12 strikeouts. And so far in relief, Grant Taylor has a 4.5 ERA in just 2 innings pitched, 3 hits, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks. The Chicago White Sox are trying to figure out what to do. I mean, I'm telling you, Noah Schultz, Hagen Smith, Tanner McDougal, they'll be up sooner rather than later. I'm not even sure how Grant Taylor is going to do today as a starter because so far in relief, he's labored a little bit. We got the starting lineup as well, the batting order. I'll give you guys that, and then we'll get up out of here. Let's see. Today you got Chase Mydroff leading off. Munitaka Murakami first base. Third base, you got Miguel Vargas batting third, Colson Montgomery fourth, Austin Hayes over in left field, Andrew Benintendi as a designated hitter, and then Tristan Peters in right field, Edgar Quiero at center, and then you got Luis Angel Acuna at batting ninth, and of course Grant Taylor starting for the Chicago White Sox. And there you have it, man. It's your boy, Big Kev, holding it down for the South Side. Y'all already know what to do. Hit me up, but Big Kev from the Chi, Big Kev from DACHI, or Sox Central Pod as well over on Twitter. Please, please, please follow that Twitter account. Both of those, actually. Shy White Sox Central at gmail.com. Hit me up with some emails. Like, share, follow, comment, hit that notification bell. And, of course, follow the rest of the Chi-Town Sports Central family by typing in your favorite Chicago sports team, putting the word Central behind it. You'll find one of us, as well as NBA Central, NFL Central, and the Chi Bulls podcast with my boys C-Dub and Bobby, as the Chicago Bulls season is coming to an end. Thank God. Man, it's been rough watching the Bulls this year. All right, y'all know what it is. It's your boy Big Kev holding it down for the South Side. We're going to holler at you guys next time. Let's get this win today, baby. Peace.
This has been a presentation